Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
This is wireless. This is wireless.
Wireless, we don't have to run.
Okay, I can walk. You know, my mother always said that I'd have a reward. She said it'd be your picture in the post office with the word reward. This must be the reward that she was talking about. Well, I thought it was interesting, the comment made by Dr. Bergraff about picking the right parents, because I do think that's very important that you pick the right parents. You know, from the genetics, for the attitudes, and the various, say, work ethic that you have. I was going to start this off with a speech that I've heard many times, and it's basically 407 years ago. Then I got to thinking, that's been used, so it's going to be 315 years ago. I was born on a glorious March 25th, 1940 date. In fact, I like that date so well, I have used it my entire life as my birthday. My first recollection of life was December 12th, 1941, when the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. I remember hearing it on the radio, and people don't believe this, but I remember hearing this on the radio at my Grandma Neal's house. She had a steel stand-up black radio. And people say you can't remember stuff at a year and a half, but I swear, I remember how excited everybody was. You know, you think about how things happen in life. A lot of it is, you know, we talk about being blessed. I think sometimes we're lucky. I was sort of born lucky. I really didn't intend to start off to go to college, but through a series of events, I had torn my shoulder up playing football. And so the summer after high school, I had it worked on. I couldn't work. My brother wrecked my car. And so I had $650. I hitchhiked down to Columbus to join the Army. And I couldn't get my hand over my head. So they said, well, no, come back in a year when you at least stick your arm up. I stopped on the way back at Ohio State, picked up an application, but this was early in the week, and it was starting in less than a week. I ended up at Carl Bergraff's mobile station there, sitting in a chair, and a guy by the name of Court Hall came in. How many of you remember Court? Okay, he was an ag teacher, a city boy from teaching ag from Arlington. Now, I didn't take ag, but he asked me what I was doing, and I sort of told him what had happened. He says, well, I can get you in school. He says, you'll be here tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I'll walk you through. And by golly, he was a tall guy, and we went down to Ohio State in his station wagon, and he walked me through, and the following Monday, I started school. So, you know, how does something like that happen? Things just sort of happen. I was lucky. I was lucky to know somebody like Court, even though he wasn't an instructor of mine. He took the time. I guess the reason I'm up here is because I have a business that I've been fairly successful in. I've been, you know, I realize I've been doing this for 40 years now. You know, I left Levi Strauss, never did have time to find a regular job. I started working on properties. I was always blessed in the fact that I could do about anything that anyone wrote a book about. And I wasn't afraid to work with people. So it sort of started with, we started with 38 units that he had collected, I had collected right out of college, and we've sort of taken it up. I think the thing says 890. I think we're a little bit higher than that now in Columbus. We had 400 in Indianapolis. We sold that and started. Now we're part owners of 3 different complexes in Austin, Texas. Probably a total of 550 units down there. Austin's a booming place, but of course Columbus is a booming place too. I wanted to take this time to share with you some of life's lessons that I have learned. By the way, I do have extra time because George Ringer gave me his time from last year when he wasn't here. He said I could use as much of his time as I wanted. He did, Gary. I like this idea of picking your parents. I think that's an important thing to do. It sort of controls a certain amount of your outlook, your health, a whole lot of things. I think some of the stuff that we talk that gets overlooked, especially in today's age, is this concept of personal responsibility. I think you need to accept very early on in life that you're responsible for the situation that you're in, or your ability to tolerate that situation. You can change your outlook. You can change the way you think. You can accomplish a lot if you think you can. Just be responsible for yourself. You know, try to get along with other people as much as you can. Try to stay out of lawsuits. When you're in business, you're going to get sued. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Try to avoid it. However, at the same time, don't back away from a fight. I was never one to back away from a fight. What are you smiling about, Raymond? Okay. You know, don't cause trouble, but don't be afraid of trouble. You know, you go back to the attack at Pearl Harbor. I sort of think the Japanese probably wish they never started that. But the atrocities were handled in Asia. The Japanese are still disliked intensely by a lot of countries in Asia for the atrocities that occurred when they were trying to expand their empire. You pick your fight, but also I think a very important thing is pick the things you worry about. You know, a lot of people spend a lot of energy worrying. And, you know, what I always play this little game on myself, if I have a problem or something that concerns me, I will sort of say, how will I view this tomorrow? How will I view it next week? Will I remember it at the end of the month? Will it be an effect on me next year? And if you can answer no to any of those, it's not worth worrying about. Worry about the important things. And there aren't very many important things. You try to take care of your family, take care of your health. You know, I'm fortunate that I'm going to say here, try to stay married to the mother of your children. I think that keeps your life simple. I've been married for, 53 years, a long time. I've got 3 children, and fortunately, they have all been an intrinsic part of my life. The unfortunate thing is that I've got 2 children in the business, and that's the hard part of the business, is having your own children there. Because there's a distinction between being a child or being an offspring and being an employee. So it's not always fun. As I say, keep your life simple as you can. Life has gotten more complicated. We have the ability to watch tons of TV shows. There's books coming out all the time. We live in a world that is unlike, the speed at which we live is unlike anything, and it will continue to get faster. Fall in love with the internet. There is so much information there that can make your life easier, so you can get so much more done. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad. I could not get along without my cell phone. It gives me freedom, and yet other people don't really want a cell phone because they want the freedom of not having anybody get a hold of them. And remember this, when you just think things are really bad, keep in mind, it could get worse. But chances are it'll probably get better. Time takes care of a lot of problems. And when you get older, try not to get grumpier. But you know, you've heard all the bullshit that people can tell you. So you sort of have a short tolerance for that. You've heard every excuse. Hey, I'm in the landlord business. You can't tell me anything I haven't heard before. One of the advantages that I have being in the landlord business is that I have dealt with a lot of people. I've dealt with tough people. I've dealt with poor people. I've dealt with wealthy people. And so I really feel like I have a real feel on the human race. And you know, it's not getting any better. 35 years ago, we had hillbilly pride. You know, in other words, we had hillbillies that had pride. We had black pride. We don't have those anymore. There's areas of the city I wouldn't even touch on property because you think, gee whiz. You know, people do it to themselves. On the other hand, only 5% of the people are that way. The other 95% are really darn good people. So you have to keep focusing on the 95%. You come to a small town and you've got 99% of good people. I don't know. It's changed a little bit. We've gone to. I see where we've gone to a society where there's a strong sense of entitlement. And I don't mean just the poor people thinking they're entitled to free things. Went by the government agency the other day and there's a big long line and I thought to myself, they're giving something away free. But people of education still sort of think that they have an entitlement. I look at what happened with the housing boom and all the subprime mortgages were given out because we thought we were helping people. We were going to help people buy a house. It don't always work that way. We ended up putting a lot of people in a house that didn't know how to handle a house, that didn't know how to handle your money. I guess one of the most fortunate things that I was born with the ability to handle money. My mother called me the only Jewish boy in Cardington. She called me David Fishstein. Now, if you're Jewish here, that is not an insult because I think the ability to handle money is a great ability to have. I wish a fourth of our people in the government had that ability to handle money. And you know, you look at our government, and quite honestly, I'm concerned for the future. Not for myself, I've done quite well. Not for my kids, because they're doing quite well. But I look at my grandkids and I look at the opportunities that are being taken away from them. I look at the debt that's being poured on them. I look at the regulations. I couldn't start a business again if I had to start now. If I did, it would be a lot harder.
David, can I interrupt a second?
Yeah.
What office are you running for?
Well, Ron, I never thought I was presidential material until since about 1990, I think I should have thought about it. I think Ron is saying it's time for me to leave.